Hi, my name is Mad Hatter Connard, and this is going to be a channel for MMA discussion, MMA, and like combat sports in general, discussion, trivia, top tens, techniques, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself. We're going to go over the fights from yesterday, and we're going to discuss future opponents for everybody there and how the fights went, everything like that. Um, and then yeah, let's get this channel started. Let's get it kicked off. So, like I said, my name is Matt, the Mad Hatter Connard. Mad Hatter became my nickname because I dyed my hair red and it was very curly and it just stuck. So my experience in the sport is I wrestled all 6 years of school. I wrestled for 3 years in middle school, 3 years in high school. Um, yeah, I got injured junior year, had to stop wrestling, and then took up MMA. And I had been doing jujitsu for a while at that point, but I hadn't really been striking much. And then that I picked up more recently the last couple of years. My first coaches were Dan Hart and Alex Embry over at Hart Jiu Jitsu. My second coaches were Jeff Curran and Joey Deal and Kyle Perkins. All those guys over at Team Current MMA. Great school, great people to learn under. Learned quite a lot of gi and no gi jiu-jitsu and did a lot of Muay Thai under them as well. Um, and now I'm with Mango Combat Sports, which is, Mango is very closely knit with Jeff. He trained Jeff. He's very closely knit with those teams and most of the teams out here. And he's very, very good. And hopefully I will be fighting under him very soon. Now, the mission of this channel we already kind of went over. It's going to be very informative and it's going to be going over um, basically everything to do with combat sports, and I'm going to be using my knowledge and hopefully passing it on to you and hopefully entertaining you guys on top of that. Um, so we're going to get into these fights. We're going to talk about every fight individually. I'm going to go down a list. We're going to talk about future opponents for them, how the fights went for them, um, and everything like that. This card last night was very, very interesting. I will be talking about other organizations and like grappling competitions and kickboxing and wrestling. It won't be strictly UFC. That's going to be something a little different about my channel. There's going to be a focus on the UFC because they're the biggest, but everything major that happens, hopefully we'll be able to cover it. I'm not promising everything, but we're going to try our best. So the first fight we have on this list here is Jimmy Flick versus Malcolm Gordon. Now, Malcolm Gordon's been around for a bit. He's beat some good guys, and he's beaten, he's beaten a lot of good guys at flyweight. Jimmy Flick has struggled a little bit in his UFC career, so honestly, I did take Malcolm Gordon to win this fight. And he was looking very good at first, and he made one little misstep, and Flick jumped on it. Got that submission very fast, got that submission seamlessly, pretty much. Got the squeeze on him, tapped him, and, it was a good night for him. He's been around for a bit, too, and he definitely deserved the win. I don't think you give him top 15 yet. I think he's got too many losses to do that. So I think you give him a veteran like himself and you make them fight it out a bit and just put on an entertaining fight, give him a couple more, and then maybe a top 15 if he wins them. I think a good fight for him would be Francisco Figueiredo, because Gordon beat Francisco Figueiredo in the past. And Figueiredo, being the brother of Davison, he has a name value there. They're both good grapplers. Jimmy Flick's jiu-jitsu is very dangerous. Figueiredo's jiu-jitsu is very dangerous. So I think it'd be a very interesting fight. Both of them have struggled in their UFC careers, and I think, one could make a name off the other one. Our next fight is Jasmine Jasdavicius versus Priscilla Cachoeira. Cachoeira looked horrible. She did not look good at all in this performance. In the past couple fights, she's been kind of dwindling a bit, but she looked good in a couple of her fights in the UFC. She's got a name, but she looked horrible against Jazz Devicious, and Jazz Devicious was pissed because Kishwader's had a lot of weight issues. She'd missed weight like 4 times, or had to have the fight changed up a division like a couple times as well. Um, to be honest, I think she's on her way out of the UFC. I don't think that she takes it as seriously as she should. And I think Jasmine Jazz Devicious has just put on good performance after good performance. She's had a couple losses, but good performance after good performance. I think good fights for her, especially that huge strike differential. She broke the record for strike differential in a women's bantamweight fight. Very impressive. She broke it by like 180 strikes as well. I think Norma Dumont or Julia Avila to get her into the top 15 would be very good for her. I think Dumont's around, I think number 13, and Avila I want to say is around 14 or 15. So it's kind of in that area of leeway to get somebody into the top 15. Laness versus Patterson. Now, I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing Laness's name right, but I was very impressed with him in his Contender Series fights. I thought he was going to beat Patterson. I took him to beat Patterson just because Patterson was moving up a division. They're both very talented guys. Nothing to take away from Patterson. Patterson, first off, I don't know how that guy ever made 155. 170 seems like a much more suited division for him. He made 155 somehow, and he is walking around at 6'3". It's hard for a lot of people to make 155, and I think it's hard for, there's guys that are like 6'1" that struggle, and this guy's 6'3", and he was making the weight. So I think he's there to stay at 170. It was a very good win. I think you give him Brian Battle next. That's who I like anyway for a fight for him. Brian Battle won the Ultimate Fighter. He's got a name behind him. Got into the UFC, has done very well for himself, but he's taken a couple losses there. So I think Patterson and Battle would be a good fight, and Patterson would be a nice test for Brian Battle with his skills. Next we have Jillian Robertson versus Polyana Viana. Now, I will admit I took Viana to win, just because her submission game is very, very good, and she's pretty decent in the striking as well. But Robertson got it done, and she got it done in vicious fashion. Got a good KO TKO victory there. And it seemed like Jillian Robertson really, really shined and got better in that fight. She showed a lot of good defense, and she's always had a pretty good defense. But Jillian Robertson, I think with the name like Viana, beating a name like Viana, and being a name herself now, and being so recognizable and being around for so long, I think you give her top 15. I think it'd be cool to see her against Michelle Waterson Gomez, because Michelle was a little bit older. Jillian Robertson's been around a long time too. It'd be cool to see either her break into the top 15 or Michelle get a win again. We'll see on that, but I think it'd be a good fight for both of them. They both love to strike, and I think it'd be a very good fight. Oh, sorry. Next, we have Sergey City and Ramon Tavares. Now, Tavares got a pretty good win, and he's at the same weight as another guy on this list, so I think he should fight Garrett Armfield next, because Armfield beat Brad Katona in very good fashion. And Sergey City's a really tough guy, and Tavares beat him. Same thing with Katona. Katona's a very tough guy, 2-time Ultimate Fighter winner, and Armfield beat him. So I think Armfield and Tavares would be very, very cool to see. Next would be Sean Woodson and Charles Jourdain. Now, Jourdain is a tough guy. If you look up clips of him, he is very dangerous. There's one clip that I love watching, and I watch it over and over again, of him front kick at the end of a fight. He front kicked a guy in the chest and then just screamed into the air. And that clip, that small little clip, encapsulates just every little bit of viciousness in that guy. He's very dangerous. He's very, very tough. He does not give up, and he marches forward on his opponents. He's a very fun guy to watch. And Sean Woodson is too. Sean Woodson's got some slick boxing, and I didn't know who to take in this fight. I think I took Jourdain, actually, but I didn't know who to take, and it could have gone either way, and Sean Woodson walked away with the win. Bit of controversy on that decision, just because I guess everybody in the arena thought that the card was read wrong, but Bruce read it right. Um, he read the name right, so I don't know what the confusion was there between Jourdain and Woodson. Kind of sucks for them for that, but yeah, it was a weird thing. I've never seen that happen before. I think you give Sean Woodson a top 15 opponent. He's 11-1. I think you give him. Oh, sorry, I don't know. Tired today. I think you give him um, Alex Caceres. I think Alex Caceres would be a very fun fight for Sean Woodson. They're both great strikers. They're both tall. They're both lanky. They both have pretty decent records. They're both pretty big names now. I think it's a good fight. Next, we are getting into the main card now. We have Movsar Evloev versus Arnold Allen. That fight was. I agree with Dana. It wasn't the best fight. But Evloev got it done, which I took him to win. I knew he would. He's 18-0 now. He's starting to look very good. He beat Arnold Allen, who's a very tough guy, very hard guy to keep down, very hard guy to strike against. Allen is very tough, and Evloev pretty much marched through him. And he's Arnold Allen's ranked number 4. I think Evloev takes that spot. I think you give him Brian Ortega or Yair Rodriguez next. Brian Ortega would be fun because they're both so good at grappling, and Ortega's submissions are so interesting. I think he'd be a test. I think Ortega's who you give him. I think he'd be a very big test for Movsar, and Movsar is very tough too, so it'd be a big test for Brian Ortega. And Brian Ortega hasn't fought in a while, so I think it'd be very interesting. And I think Ortega needs that comeback. I think Evloev's on a streak. I think that's a banger of a fight to put together. Uh, Chris Curtis and Marc-Andre Barriault. Now that's I think I said Barriault's name right. Sorry about that if I got that wrong. Guy's got a very long name. Anyway, Barriault I've seen fight a few times. Curtis I've seen fight a lot, and I've watched him a lot because his boxing is crazy. I took Chris Curtis to win that fight. His striking looked very good as always. He's good off the counter punch, and I think because he's already top 15. He's already ranked. He's already very well known, being a teammate of Sean Strickland. Uh, I think you give him Paul Craig next, because Paul Craig has had a couple losses there, struggled. He's had a lot of good wins too. Curtis is a great striker. Paul Craig's okay in the striking, but he's very good on the ground. I think it's a test for Chris Curtis. I think Paul Craig would have a very big test getting through that striking as well. I think it's a very fun fight for the fans. I think that fight's a very fun fight, and Paul Craig is huge. For middleweight, Paul Craig is a big man. He can fight at 205 easily, and Chris Curtis is, I would say, relatively small for a middleweight. He's just very thick and very muscular. Next is Magny versus Malott. I took Malott to win, and he looked good in those first 2 rounds. He was dominating that fight. I don't know how Magny came back from that. He was getting hurt so bad. And Malott was having his way with him, beating the hell out of him on the ground. But Magny came off with the victory, stopped the fight with a TKO in impressive fashion, 3rd round. I think Neil Magny, they're attaching, even the commentators attached the gatekeeper label to him before he entered the octagon all the way. They're not wrong. He has fought a lot of young guys, and he's turned away a lot of young guys. So I think it's time to give him a shot. I think you give him a shot against Kevin Holland or Jack Della Maddalena, because Maddalena just, I believe, took a loss. Holland, that guy will fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. And they're both tall. They're both lanky. They're both long. They both can strike. But Holland, I would say, has the edge in that, definitely. And on the ground, Holland's pretty good, too, on the ground. Don't let that Khamzat fight fool you. Holland is a very good grappler. It's just Khamzat is just that much higher than a lot of other people when it comes to his grappling. His wrestling's amazing. Next, we have the title fight between Pennington and Silva. I loved this fight, even though it was a bit of a boring fight, a bit slow for a lot of casual fans. I liked it. I like clinch work. I like boxing. Pennington landed very well. She outclassed Silva in every way, and Silva's a great grappler. And Pennington was just standing back up every time she got taken down, standing back up, sticking with it. Um, Getting the underhook, rolling her back onto the cage, just outworking her in every way, getting up, making her tired, tiring her out, throwing little body. The one thing that I really liked about this fight, she would throw these little body shots, these little uppercuts right up the middle, and she kept landing them. And I think it took a lot of the wind out of her sails, if you will, and you know the pressure. I think was part of what stopped Bueno Silva too. The strikes, just there's the sheer amount of strikes that Pennington would throw and just stay on her. I think that's what stopped her, and stopped her game anyway. It was a decision, but stopped her game. I'm glad Pennington's champion. It's a cool change, and she deserves it. She's been around forever. I think Pena is the right match for her, so I think that's really cool. Duplessis and Strickland. I thought Sean won that fight. I thought I gave him round 1, 2, and 5, or 1, 3, and 5, whichever way you see it. I think Sean won that fight. Um, I think you do the rematch. I think it was that close. I'm not mad with the decision. It was very close. Sean was doing good work with his boxing, swelled his eyes shut, hurt him bad. But Duplessis did the same thing, hurt him with his kicks, cut him open, hurt him with some good punches. So good fight all in all. I think you do the rematch next. I've been Mad Hatter MMA. Let me know what you guys think of this video, what I can improve on. I'll be uploading this pretty soon. Hopefully you guys see it. Can't go live yet because for some reason you have to unlock it. But I've been Mad Hatter MMA. Nice to meet you guys, and I look forward to making more videos for you.